Good morning, everyone. This is Delphine Montes Claros, your podcast host. And for today's video, we will discuss the documentary, The Social Dilemma. So before that, we will be answering some questions about this documentary. First question: what is the impact of social media in our society, especially in the terms of politics and social trends? The impact of social media finds that those who do get their political news primarily through social media tend to be less well informed and more likely to be exposed to unproven claims that people who get their news from traditional sources. In comparison to other media, the influence of social media in political campaign has increased tremendously. Social networks play an increasingly important role in politics. Social networks are helping to fundamentally rewire human society because social media allows people to communicate more freely. They are helping to create surprisingly influential social organizations among once marginalized groups. Question number 2. After watching the documentary, voice out 5 things that you learned from the film. The Social Dilemma focuses on how big social media companies manipulate users by using algorithms that encourage addiction to their platforms. It also shows fairly accurately how platforms harvest personal data to target users with ads and have so far gone largely unregulated. So here are the 5 things that I learned from the documentary. First, it tackles the worrying impact on mental health. The Social Dilemma portrays this in compelling way that allows us to empathize and connect with the actors that represent us, or at least one person in our lives. The addictive nature of our phones is also a major concern and is presented in a way that makes you consider whether you really want social media to control your life instead of being able to control it yourself. Second, it gives viewers advice on how to tackle addiction to the internet. Breaking bad habits can be tough, but when everyone around you seems to be addicted to the same thing you are, it becomes even more challenging to admit that there is a problem and that you want to take control. Although this documentary can be quite daunting, the optimistic note it ends on, with tips on how to dominate your use of your phone, is so inspiring. It gives you the motivation to want to find out more about how you can break the draining cycle. Third, it tackles current global issues that social media may have warped. In the documentary, it was shocking to see how much democracy has been corrupted by social media and how influenced large groups of people have become from apps such as Facebook and Twitter. Are we even free to choose what we believe anymore? Are we free to express what we believe? Self-awareness is key. The human mind is complex yet liberating, and what we think saves us from becoming robots. The Social Dilemma could be your first insight into how you could change the way social media distorts your own perception of the biggest, most important social issues we face today. And the fourth, it emphasizes how we are products of the internet. The Social Dilemma is almost brutal but necessary in the way it explains why the internet simply doesn't care about us as individuals. The insiders of social media, companies that feature in the documentary, provide us with truthful insights Giving us perspective we can trust. It's also important to be aware of how social media works behind the scene. How it works to control us in the way it's designed. By saying it's a lack of interest in who we are and our personal reaction to its harm. We see how we must take control for ourselves. After all, we are not as powerless as we currently seem. Lastly, it could inspire you to influence social change. One positive aspect of the power of social media is being able to express yourself freely and have your opinions matter. No matter who you are, it is easy to watch The Social Dilemma and became terrified by how influential social media is. But if you see it from a more optimistic perspective, you can see how beneficial it could be. If everyone learned the value of spreading love and peace and actively challenge hostility, then the world could be beautiful. Question number 3. Choose one quote from the film and explain it briefly. Me. And this the quote that I've chosen, number 3. We curate our lives around this perceived sense of perfection because we get rewarded the short-term signals. Hearts like thumbs up, and we conflate that with value, and we conflate with truth. And instead, what is fake, brittle, a plurality that's short-term that leaves you even more. And admit it, vacant and empty before you did it. Because that enforces you into vicious cycle where you like what's the next thing that I need to do now. Because I need it back. Think about that compounded by 2 billion people, and then think about how then people react to the perception of others. From Chamath Palihapitiya, CEO of Social Capital, social media has proved to be a source of loneliness and constant comparison. Likes and shares aren't a true or accurate indication of how much someone cares or doesn't care about you. Comparison between yourself and the doctored photos on social media creates a hurt that isn't examined enough. And the whole world is doing it. The whole world is immersed in a loneliness and feeling of inadequacy, impairing our ability to be there for each other because we're so deep into our own hurt to heal others. And the last question, identify and analyze one key issue in the documentary that you observe and you think is worth an analysis and discussion. For me, The Social Dilemma focuses on how big social media companies manipulate users by using algorithms that encourage addiction to their platforms. It also shows fairly accurately how platforms harvest personal data to target users with ads and have so far gone largely unregulated. The Social Dilemma explores how the internet's most popular products work on a basic business model of tracking users' behavior in order to sell targeted ads and endorse addiction in a vicious cycle. Among the many issues the film touches on include how tech companies have influenced elections, ethnic violence, and rates of depression and suicides. Ladies and gentlemen, and this ends my podcast about the documentary of Social Dilemma. Again, everyone, this is Delphine Montes Claros, your podcast host. Thank you and God bless you.